Professor Moloff here, and today we're going to do the Superstore Customer Purchasing Habits, RFM Dashboard. So what the RFM Dashboard, or an RFM analysis is a marketing technique used to quantifiably rank and group customers on the recency, so how recent they purchased, the frequency, how often they purchase, and the monetary total of their most recent transaction. And this is to help identify the best customers, also to help so we can then perform target marketing campaigns or even, use a reward program and stuff. So like on this is the dashboard we're going to create. So this is the Superstore Customer Purchasing Habits. And over here we have our customer name right here. Time since last purchase, so we can see how long it's been since they purchased. So this one's been 7 days ago, 1.3 years ago, 27 days ago. Their total number of orders, their total revenue from those orders, the average order value, and the total number of products that they purchased. And so the recency, of our RFM analysis, recency, frequency, and monetarily, recency is our time since last purchase, how recent. Frequency is our total orders right here and total products. So how often they've ordered and how much they've ordered. And then our monetary is total revenue and our average order value. So this is the dashboard that we are going to create. And we're going to start by creating the sheets. So let's go ahead and open Tableau. And I have Tableau open here. Go to our Microsoft Excel file. And hopefully you've already downloaded. And the file we're using is the sample Superstore sales. And open that file. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take orders and move it over here into drag tables here. We're going to be using the orders. And here it comes up. We have 23 fields, basically 23 columns, and 8,399 rows. So 8,399 rows. Now let's go ahead and go to our worksheet number 1. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rename that. I'm going to rename that RFM. Okay. And if we take a look or remember our worksheet, we saw that we had customers there on the first column. So we're going to take ABC customers. And when I say ABC, I mean here in measured names. And if I say numbers, is down here in measured values. So ABC customer name, and we're going to drag that into rows. And it's going to ask this because we have 8,399 rows. And it says your data contains more than 1,000 members. Do you really want to do this? And we're going to say yes, add all members. So here we have our members or our customers. And so the first thing we want to do is we're going to drag sales into the ABC here. This is where we're going to drop our information. So number here, sales, we're going to drag it into the ABC. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to drag quantity into the same area, and notice it makes our second column. And so we have the number of sales or the amount in sales, and we have the quantity number of products purchased. And now we want to have the unique number of orders. So they can have more than one product, and they can have more than one thing that they purchased in a single order, but we want to have the unique number of orders. And to do this, we're going to take our number order ID up here in measured values. And what we're going to do is we're going to move this into text under marks. And now we see right here we have order ID in blue inside our marks right there. And what we're going to do is go down here to order ID. We're going to go down to what it's measuring. And we're going to choose count distinct. So this is the distinct number of orders that they've placed. And now we can see that this is green. And we want to add it to our columns. The easiest way to add it to our columns is I'm just going to drag it here into measured values underneath our marks. Now, what we want to do here is add another column, and we want the average order amount. So to get our average order amount, we're going to take our distinct count and divide that into sales. So we'll take our sales and divide it by this one here. So on Aaron, we're going to take this 2,169, which is our total sales from this individual, and we're going to divide it by 6 to get our average order amount. So to do this, we are going to create a calculated field, and we'll go to the very top into analysis. We'll click on analysis and click create calculated field, and it pops up right here. And we're going to change the name of this to average order amount. And to make our average order amount, we're going to take sum of sales and we'll drop it in right here. And we're going to divide that by our distinct count of sales, which is count distinct CNTD order ID, and drop it in right there. Apply and OK. And now we see over here on the left, we have our equal number sign average order amount. And this is the amount of the average order. So we had the 6 orders under Aaron. And now we can take and drag this into measured values. And we can see that his average order amount is $362. Now let's go ahead and format these. So we have quantity, we see sales and average order amount, and we know that those are monetary. So let's go ahead and format these. So over here in the far left on our average order amount and our measured values, we're going to click the drop down. We're going to go into default properties, come over here to number format, and we're going to choose currency custom, no decimal points, and click OK. We will now do the same thing for sales. We'll come here into our measured values, do the drop down, default properties, number format, custom currency or currency custom, no decimal points, and go ahead and click OK. Now let's go ahead and reorder these. So over here we have quantity, sales, distinct count, and average order amount. So we're going to reorder these so that it's a little bit better. So what we're going to do is we're going to take distinct count and put that first. And so in here under measured values right here, we'll take distinct count and we'll move it up. And don't drag it off, because we can accidentally drag it off, but distinct count. And then we want the sales right there. And then after sales, we want the average order amount, and then sum of quantity, which is how many was purchased. Now, we've built this as a table, but now let's take this table and turn it into a bar chart. So up here on the far right, at the top, under Show Me, we'll click that, and we'll choose this highlighted one right here, which is our bar chart, and we'll click on that, and it's given us our bar chart. Now I'm going to go ahead and unclick Show Me just so that's off the screen, and you can do that too. And we have all of our information right here. One of the things that it did is it changed our order right here. So we had our order and it changed our order when we made it a bar chart. So we're going to take our order again. So we have sum of quantity, and we'll move that to the end up here in columns. So we have our count, order ID, distinct count of orders, okay, our sum of sales, our average order amount, and then our total sum of quantity. So what we're going to do now is we'll go ahead and add data labels. So just like we do in Excel where we add data labels, to do that, we're going to go here in marks. Now notice that here in marks, it has all, and then underneath it, it has the individual ones right here. So we can change an individual one, but right now we want to affect all. So we're going to click on label and show mark labels. And now we have it as our data labels. Tableau calls that mark labels. Okay. So we're going to do some more formatting. We're going to change the color of these. Let me click off anywhere there so it gets rid of that. We're going to change the color of these. Okay. And then we'll do some more formatting on this right now. So let's go ahead right here, and we're going to take ABC measured names. We're going to actually take this one right here, measured names, and we're going to drag that into color in marks. So we're going to drag that into color, and notice that all is done. And now it just gave us our color. And I don't necessarily like this color scheme and order. It's checked. It's made for us. So we're going to go ahead and click on color here, edit colors. And we'll go ahead and leave this as the automatic. We can click down and we can have all different color schemes. I'm going to leave it as automatic, but we can individually change these. So select data item. And so we have average order amount. I'm going to click that and choose green. Now, if we hit apply right now, before we hit OK, we can actually see what it's going to look like. So we can see this is green right here now. Or we can change all these and click apply and OK at the end. And we'll do that with the rest. So I have my distinct count of order ID. I'm going to make that one this blue. And then quantity, I don't want this red. I'm going to make that gray. And sales, we'll click on sales and make that orange. And now apply and OK, and it changed all of our colors for us. Okay. Now, notice too back here under all in marks that this says automatic. Well, what we don't want Tableau to do is make some changes for us, on some automatic changes. We want Tableau for these to remain as they are. And so we're going to go down here and under distinct count, I'm going to check this one. Under automatic, I'm going to click the drop down and I'm going to choose bar. So it's going to make and keep this as a bar chart. And if we do anything else, it will always remain a bar chart. I'm going to do that with sum of sales. And then this AGG average order amount. But on this last one, on sum of quantity, we're going to make this a circle. And now go here and choose circle. And so now we see that we have these little circles over here to the right. And we're going to make them a little bit bigger. So while we're here in sum of quantity in circle, we're going to click on size here in the marks. We'll click on size. And we're just going to drag this to about 50% in the middle. And now we have a bigger circle. The other thing we want to do is we have the data on the outside. We want to put the data on the inside. So to do that, we're going to click here on label under sum of quantity. And we'll go with alignment. And under horizontal, we're going to choose center. And then under vertical, we're going to choose middle. So it says middle center. And just to make this easier to be read, I'm going to go here and on font right above it, I'm going to choose Tableau Medium and bold it. Okay. So now it's easier to read. And then just click out of here anywhere. The next thing we're going to do is just like in Excel, where we can change the size of a row or a column by dragging it. We're going to change the size of the row because we got these very little circles over here to the right. So I'm going to go between these two errands and get my cursor and just drag it down a little bit, and you can see that it just changed the size so it's easier to see and read. Now that we've done this, one of the things I want to do is I want to center this data. Notice that this data is set up on the column width as to where the data is, and we just want to center it. So a couple of things we need to do is we kind of need to anchor the data in here, and then we will manipulate some stuff to center this. So under marks, or over here on the far left, we got our number quantity, measured values on the far left, our number of quantity right here. And we're going to drag that into the label under sum of quantity right here. So quantity, drag that into the label. And now it pops up right here inside the marks. And what that's going to do is if we change the location of these, it will make sure that the data stays in the circle. Okay, so it doesn't change anything on the chart, but it keeps the data label set. So now here at the top, we're going to do something here that's kind of cool in Tableau. I don't expect you to memorize this. So I'm not expecting you to memorize how to do this, just showing you what Tableau can do and the creativity. So under here, under sum of quantity in the columns, we're going to double click that, and notice now it's brought that expression and that formula up, and we can change it. So my cursor's in there. So I'm going to rewrite this. I'm just going to delete this, and we're going to use average, which is AVG, and we see that we have our function average. I'm going to click on that, and it's asking for our expression, and our expression is going to be 0.5 and return. And now notice over here on the far right that it has put all of these circles here on the far right. Well, notice down here at the bottom in our axes, it says from 0 to 0.5. What we're going to do here is we're going to change this from 0 to 0.5 to 0 to 1. And what will happen is all of these that are 0.5 will now go into the center. So let's right click on our column axes down here and click Edit Axes. And right here we have General and tick marks. We're going to go down here to Custom. And notice we have our fixed start at 0 and our end at 0.552. We're just going to delete that 0.552 and do to 1. Right there. And so even if I put 1.0, it just did 1. And now notice that all of our data is lined up in the center. Okay. Again, I don't expect you to memorize this, but I just wanted you to see the creativity that happens in Tableau. Now we're going to make a new column. Okay. And to do this, this is for the information on time since last purchased. But we're going to come up here to columns, and we're just going to go to the right of this AJGG average 0.5 and just double click. And notice that it opened up the area for us to add another function. And we're going to use the average function again. But our expression this time is 1.0. And now notice it's made an entire column. But I don't like this color. So let's go ahead and change this color. So I'm going to come over here to marks, and this time I'm going to choose this AGG average 1.0, and we're going to do a couple things with this. First, I'm going to go into color, edit colors, and I'm going to go ahead and keep it on this automatic color palette. I'm going to click on this average 1.0 that's red over here, come down, I'm going to assign it this light teal. Apply to look at it, much better than that red, and click OK. And then while we're open here in marks, I'm going to take the label on alignment. We're going to put it inside the center. And then we're going to make it vertical middle. And then we're going to take it and we're going to keep it at 9-point font. But we're going to do Tableau medium and bold this, just so it's a little bit easier to read on there. And then just click out. Okay. The next thing we want to do is we want to take it from over here in the far right column, and we want to put it at the beginning. So to do that, we'll just come here and grab the AGG average 1, and we're just going to drag it to the front. So now it's over here. And we also notice that there's this gap between the information right here. Okay. So we want to get rid of this gap right here. And to do that, we're going to go down here to average 1.0. And what happens is the information, the data is from 0 to 1, but the column width is wider than 1. So we'll look at that. We'll do edit axes, and it will bring it up. We'll go down here to custom again, and notice that it's from 0 to 1.05. And that gives that 0.05 pixels on the end. And we're just going to change it to 1. And now notice, and I'll X out of that once we've done that, and now notice that my data is right up against each other. Okay. So the next thing that we want to do on building this sheet is we want to go ahead and we're going to put the data in here on days since last purchase. So to do that, we have to do two different calculated fields. Okay. So the one calculated field is, we notice that this Aaron Bloomstein has had 6 orders. Okay. We just want the date of the last order. So we're going to use a function called max, and we're going to bring in the date of the last order. So we'll go up to click on analysis at the top, create calculated field, and we're going to rename this calculated field last purchase date. Last purchase date. And our formula is going to be max, so we can just start typing in max and use function max. And our expression is order date. And we can just start typing that in, order, and it brings up order date, our little calendar right there. Our calculation valid, apply, and OK. And we can now see in our measure value, we have our equals, our last purchase date there. Now there's 2 ways that we can look at the last purchase date. One of them is we can use a function called date difference, and that's the one we're going to use. We can also use the function make date and then minus the last purchase date. So we can make a date and then we can minus this last purchase date right here, and that will tell us the number of days since the last purchase to the date that we made. Or we can use date difference. And we're going to do date difference. So I'm going to go up here to the top and click on analysis, create calculated field. And I'm going to rename this days since last. Days since last. We're going to do purchase right there. And then my function is going to be date difference, date diff. And it's asking for date part. So notice right here, it's asking for the date part. And we want this in days. So it's a single quote, not a double quote, single quote, day, close that with a single quote, and then to move the expression, comma. And now it's asking for our start date. And that's going to be our last purchase date. And we'll start typing in last, and I'll bring up last purchase date. And then comma is asking for our end date. And to type in our end date, we need to use the hashtag or number sign on both ends. So number, and we're going to do December 12/31, 2025. And then we'll put in our hashtag. So this goes all the way up to the 2025 as the date we're going to do as last purchase day. Apply and OK. Now, above tables at the far left is we have this filter button. So if we come here in the filters, I have this filter by, the search bar filter by, and then there's this drop down. But between the filter and the drop down is view data. I'm just showing you this because we'll click on this and notice that we have all of the data. So instead of going down here to data source and moving out of our sheet right here, we can just go up there and click and view the data. And now we have show fields here. I'm going to click on show fields. I'm going to unclick all, and I'm going to choose last purchase date and days since last purchase. And then I'll click out of here, and we can see the last purchase date on this was 3/3/2025, and days since last purchase, 303 days. Okay, right here. So that's just one of the ways we can look at our information. And I'm going to go ahead and click out of here. Okay. Now what we want to be able to do from here, okay, is we're going to take the information right here and make sure that we've checked on AGG average 1. So if we're clicked out of here somewhere, AGG average 1.0, okay, and we're going to drag day since last into our labels. So we're going to drag it right there into labels. And notice it says 333, 119, 94, Down here, we can look at Allen Haynes. It was 7 days since their last purchase. Okay. Now, what we want to be able to do is we want this to say days if it's days, or years if it's years. So if we come down here, we see 512 days on Adam Schillingsberg. Okay, that's more than a year. So we want it to say how many years. Okay. If we look at Amy Bixby right here, that's more than a year. So we want to change this expression. We want to add and format this to actually show, okay, a number of days or years. And to do that, we are going to do an if-then. So we're actually going to build an algorithm in here. It's an if-then algorithm. And an easy way to do this is we're going to go to Analysis. And this time we're going to do Edit Calculated Field. And we're going to do Days Since Last Purchase. And I'm going to rename this Days Since Last. I'm going to do Days Since Last if-then. So I know this is the if-then statement. And this is the data we want to use right here, the date differential. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to do Command X. You can do Command or Control X. That copies it. It deletes it and copies it. So it's cut, and then we'll paste it in later. So Command X, because I want to do my if statement, I'm going to bring up if. Now Command or Control V, I'm going to bring that up. If my date differential is less than, so do my less than. If it's less than 365, return, and then do then. So we're saying if this date differential is less than 365, we just want it to remain the same. Just bring in the number. Return else, which means if it's greater than 365, we wanted to say negative and Command or Control V. Okay. Our negative date differential divided by 365. And you'll see here in a minute why we wanted it as a negative. So we put in a minus, then paste in the date differential again, return, and we now have to end the expression. Okay. So here's what we want. We just wrote an if-then. Okay. Again, if our date differential is less than 365, just bring in the number of days. Else, we want a negative date differential and divide it by 365, which will tell us that in years. And then end. Apply and OK. And now we can see that we have Aaron up here at the top at 333 days. We can go here to Adam, which is negative 1.4, and that's years, and Amy, negative 1.3 years. And it's okay that we have this in positive and negative, and I'll show you why here in just a second. So we're going to go here to our far left under measured values, and we're going to do our days since last if-then. That's what we want to format. So we got our equal, our number sign, so we know it's a calculated field. We're going to do this drop down. We'll go to default properties, number format. And in this number format, we want it to be a custom. And here is our format. If the number is days, semicolon, and I'll move my cursor out of the way. And if the next one is number, 0.0, so if it has a decimal point, so if it's just numbers, tell it in days. If it has a decimal point, we want it in years. And we only want to go out one decimal point. We're going to do years. So what it's going to do is we click OK here. It's going to list those in 333 days. And we come down here to Adam, it's 1.4 years. Amy, 1.3 years. And again, if we want to make this just a little bit bigger, we can do that right there. All right. So this is what we've done so far. Now we're just going to format a little bit more. We're almost done with this worksheet. I want to get rid of all of these little lines in here. So right here, I'm going to right click. I'm going to go over here into our circles. Next to our circles, I'll right click, click on format. It brings up my format pane here to the left. I have my text, my justification, my fill, my borders and lines. I'm going to go ahead and click on line. And even though it says grid lines none, there are grid lines in here. So I'm going to click this and I'm going to choose none specifically. And now notice these grid lines went away. Okay. And now that's for there. I'm going to go into borders now and click on borders, which is our window pane. I'm going to go to row dividers none. I'm going to leave the column dividers, which has this little slight line in there. We're going to go ahead and leave that line. Now we're ready to build the dashboard. So go ahead and save this at this point. You can go ahead and upload it to Tableau Public, rename it RFM or something. Let's go ahead and save this at this point, and then come back to the next video to learn how to make the dashboard. Thank you very much.